journalist for Askanwi Media, Gambian citizen, and a spokesperson for Gonzalo. I just wanted to clarify, because in your press invitation, you said it's open for the media and members of Gala. And now you're saying almost something different. And I think the minister was actually saying that it's open for Gala. This particular engagement. Yes, they're here. Yeah. So they're also free to ask questions, because I think you were...
Yeah, Gala is invited. We go by the spirit of the letter. And at the end of the day, if there are some professional questions, I mean, you are journalist, Gala. Yes. I mean, you can ask on behalf of Gala.
Yes.
But anyway, no?
It's okay.
We'll allow them to ask. Okay, they are invited here.
Only one person in Bureau,
Umar Sayokawa. All right, okay.
I just wanted to make that clear, because I saw the invitation.
No, we go by the content of the letter.
Okay.
That will guide us.
Okay, so basically I have a series of questions, but since I'll allow some of my colleagues an opportunity. First of all, thank you very much for organizing the press conference. My first question goes to the heart of, I think, the repeated engagement, which is trust, to build public trust. And you did say that the youth should, or the Gala, should take from the streets and come to the conference room so that they can engage in meaningful dialogue. I think that would be good. But how can that take place whilst 23 youth are currently, you could say, being incarcerated or still going to jail? They are still charged with this, which we know the police is of course under the executive branch. Is this government really serious about building public trust with the intent? Are they ready to drop those charges so they could go into that conference room with open minds and have a real open dialogue? Or are you just saying that? I do have lots of questions. So,
we'll come back one at a give chance. Let's give chance to all of them.
Thank you. We just not saying or putting out the call or the invitation for sake of just making a call. We are sincere about this. In the first instance, and I think in a democratic setup, while protest is allowed, it's legitimate, but there is also a process. And I think protest should be the last resort. Because what we can win and achieve on the boardroom or around the table, we would maybe possibly have the same outcome on the streets. So why don't we start with in the boardroom and have an open and transparent dialogue? Government is sincere with this call, and like I said, we would have preferred a situation where the movement submitted a public petition. It's prescribed, there's a process, there's a way, and government would have exactly done exactly what we are doing today. And like I said, the protest, whatever the outcome of the protest, the desired objective is a peaceful, transparent, corrupt-free, where possible, Gambia. Let's dialogue, let's discuss this. It's a possibility. We are on the same page, like the minister has said. It's not us versus them. We are one state, we are one entity, we are one Gambia. With respect to the case, maybe Attorney General will speak to this. It's just a process that the state had to take. But I believe ultimately when the dialogue space is open and is accepted, then your recommendation will come into play. Thank you.
Thank you. Name the organization.
ma tontu la si wolof ndax wax ko angale si wolof ni ñoo liggéeyee si gestu tuumal yooyu mooy police yi ñoo dee commencé investigation bi ñoo dee gestu mbir mi so police yi dañ ko dee gestu ñoom buñ gestoo ba pare ñu yónni file bi si small office mooy the Attorney General's Chambers and the Ministry of Justice ñun nag suñ jotee file bi yu baree dee ñëw li suñ liggéey mooy ñu gëstu evidence yi nga xam ne yooyu la police yi am si file bi li dee yàggal affaire bi benn ñaar with different reasons yi dee tax affaire bi di yàgga either at the level of investigation or si ñun pour analyse files yi man suma side mooy benn pour gëstu evidence yi ba nga am enough evidence buy support alleged charges yi sometimes daf di jël time because every evidence bu police yi def si biir file including su fekkee ne audit la lii yëpp danga ko war a gëstu bu baax a baax because am nañ a lot of experience bi nga xam ne dañ dee yàkkamte ñu dem si court bi ñu lose case bi either because amuñ sufficient evidence nag dafa war a doy su ma ko wax si anglais sufficiency bi dafa nekk in quantity ak quality suñ amul enough evidence liñ dee def mooy ne dañ dee delloo file bi baax si police bi ñu wax leen fuñ yaakaar ne foofu la gaab si nekk then ñu def further investigation so some of these cases yi nga xam ne ñu ngi leen a laajte su fekkee ne seet nañ trafic bi dinañ gis ne dem nañ si police yi ñëw na justice dellu na police ñëw na si ñun because anytime suñ gëstoo file bi suñ gisee gaps dañ ko dee send back to the police ñu wax leen ne there are gaps ñu delluwaat gëstu port authority file bi si la bokka ak yeneen file anytime su Ministry of Justice formé opinion ne am nañ sufficient evidence pour support charges yi naturally dinañ file indictments so am na yoo xam ne ñu ngi leen a file fu mu nekk nii am na yoo xam ne ba léegi evidence yi ngi si file yi doyanguñu so dañ ko dee delloo si police yi ñu def further investigations so loolu lañ toll waaye bu ñu amee any file boo xam ne gis nañ fa sufficient evidence pour charge then file du finance Ministry of Justice we'll file all of them bépp boo xam ne file anguñ ko that means the legal opinion bi moo form opinion ne sufficient evidence nekk fa pour sustain charges yi da nga leen a war a understand ne léppal buñ fa nekka tuumal la te tuumal boo demee court yow mi tuumal ki nga tuumal yow yaa ko war a prove beyond reasonable doubt these are criminal charges it's not just proof but you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt so when we don't have sufficient evidence we don't go to court. There is no attempt on the side of the Ministry of Justice or the state to cover or protect anybody. Once investigations are done, we investigate, we evaluate the evidence. If we are not satisfied, we send it back for further investigations. Bobula and put on to vote at the moment.
Thank you. The culture of due process that we are safeguarding in this country, in our beautiful motherland. You have a question? Media organization?
Yeah, my name is Alek Jallo. I work for the Fado Network. I have two questions. I'll put it in brief.
The Public Order Act is not the only piece of legislation that is colonial legislation we inherited. Our laws are still full of legislations that are old, but the usability of the legislation is not necessarily only based on the time or the duration or how old a piece of legislation is. We're still using a lot of legislations that are colonial or even post-independence. Yes, Public Order Act is one of them. It has been challenged, and we commend civil society. It has been challenged at the ECOWAS Community Court by some Gambians to declare some aspect of the Public Order Act as violation of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. ECOWAS Community Court delivered a different judgment. They disagreed and they said it is not against the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. It was also challenged before our own Gambian Supreme Court and the constitutionality of the Public Order Act. And the Supreme Court again said that the Public Order Act is not unconstitutional. So the legality or the constitutionality of the Public Order Act is settled. Now, whether we want to maintain it in our laws or we want to remove it, this is an ongoing dialogue, and government is free to engage in this discussion. That's what I can say at this stage.
I have a follow-up on that.
No problem.
It's specifically this. This government, since 2017, you said there has been a lot of reforms and change. When this government...
Wait, I give you a mic.
Okay. Sorry about that. I have a follow-up on this specific question. This government came since 2017, and one of the promises was exactly this public order. One of the promises was exactly to repeal and reform bad laws like this Public Order Act that have been used, weaponized by the security forces, leading to the death of solo sending. All right? This is a very dangerous bill in that regard. So, the government of President Adama since 2017 made some of these promises, coalition. Not only that, the TRRC has come out with recommendations for this government to review and address this Public Order Act. Your government, under you, wrote the white paper and said you promised that you would look at it and review it. What do you say now? I mean, you need to tell Gambians something, because it could lead to a state of national security in this country.
Just take it easy. The legislative reform agenda of this government is huge. And those of you who follow the developments in the National Assembly will see the volume of legislations that are being submitted every session in the National Assembly. So we have a very ambitious legislative reform agenda, but this is a process, so it's an ongoing one.
The other question is not answered.
Which one? No, somebody will answer to that. I was just dealing with the first one.
With respect to the concern about selective justice, right? Yes, the nature of the cases are different. There are those that are outright theft, the planning, the executions, and even when confronted with the facts, there was denial. So it was deliberate, and the conclusion led to only one thing: misconduct. So then those decisions were taken. In the case, maybe termination or dismissal in some cases. Now, in this instance, the gentleman claimed that the money were used during transit. So when he was confronted, because the players themselves said no, we were not given any such things. But he plus few other testimonies that suggest that he might have used some, but the commission did not believe it. So it was a lie, as far as the commission was concerned. Now, this was an inquest, so he hadn't planned to steal. It was a legitimate money given for specific purpose. He collected the purpose, but in the process also lie about it. Okay, the intent might have been there, but again, like I said, he did indicate that he had used some of the money. And he presented his defense at the commission, presented some facts, but the general conclusion was that this is not believable. We are going by our assertions, and that is, the money was not used, as you said. Now, the reports of government, or the recommendation of the commission was, okay, first step, return this money. And the money was returned. All right? So, and then what is the consequence? Next step, then they recommended for demotion, and that was also done. Now, again, if in the case, it's still being reviewed, but at the moment, that is where the case was. The primary objective of government was to recover every budget of the funds, and that was done.
But looking at the magnitude of these two obscene amounts in the two cases here, this could be considered as selective justice, given the fact that probably the money.
Every case, you look at the circumstances, and you weigh the circumstances in terms of intent, in terms, there are so many checks. It's not the amount you only take. You're just focusing on 9,730, no. That is not the way law works, and it's not the way justice works.
But Dr. said the intent is already there from
No, what I'm saying is that you need to understand the particulars of the case itself. You don't look at the figures. Don't look at the figures. Even if you go to the criminal justice system, two people will commit the same crime. They'll free one, and they'll convict one. So that's not the way justice works. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think the cases are in public domain. You can read them and make your own independent comparative analysis. It's better than perception and assumptions. Now we go to the other side.
We take one from here. Okay.
Okay. He has been on waiting list long. Okay. After him,
All right, thank you very much, and everyone here present. So first, Gala will do a response after we receive the statement officially, and we also raise questions. But quickly for clarification, first I just want to clarify that the Honorable Minister of Justice said the Public Order Act is constitutional, yes, but it's not aligning with the best practices, so we clear that. No, just a clarification, okay.
He said, come you ask questions.
Yeah, I'll ask questions. I'm doing it, I'm setting a perimeter, just to say that it can be constitutional, but not aligning with best practice, especially human rights practice, so we can get the profit even if it's constitutional. My first question reads, the statement you said the President have ordered for arrest and prosecution of perpetrators in the AKI. This is 2022. How far with the arrest and prosecution? Who are the individuals, and how far is that going? We want specifics so that we are clear in what we do. Two, the two ministers and the director of Gas Petroleum that are involved in the petroleum saga. I'm sure the investigation goes on. We should start setting penalties before investigations end, otherwise delay for justice will always happen. What is happening to them? They are still in cabinet and then the DG is still in Gas Petroleum. Second, why is the government have to wait until victims struggle in court every day before they can take action and then deliver justice for the AKI? The government should not wait for the court. They went to the court because justice was delayed. Justice could have been done before struggling in the courts. Thank you. The rest, Gala will respond.
Thank you. You want to?
For you can. Where is the person who was asking the question? Yeah. So if I miss out something, you can refresh my memory. On the AKI, the head of the Medicine Control Agency was dismissed. I'm not sure whether the public is aware of that. You're aware. The representative of the victims' families started negotiations with government. There were exchanges and offers made. Are you with me?
Yeah, with you.
So there was a dialogue that started. Offers were made for compensation. They were torn down, and then they chose to go to court. Now, the nature of the AKI incident, I wish my colleague, the health minister, was here. I'll speak in the area where the legal issues are concerned. My office contacted a law firm in the United States that are specialized in, you can say medicine, because some big law practices have different specialization. These ones have a big practice with respect to pharmaceutical law. So we were working with them, trying to see what remedies could be available to us even internationally. As we speak, the ambassador of the Gambia in India is actively working on having clearance from the government of India for a delegation from the Gambia to travel. The delegation appointed by His Excellency includes the foreign minister. It started during the time of the former foreign minister, the health minister, and myself, because I've been informed to be on standby to be on that mission. So there is a bilateral engagement that is also on the way. But of course, some of these things, you need to understand, they hardly can move as fast as sometimes we want them. But locally as a government, the task force did their work, they did their recommendations. Some aspects of the recommendations were implemented, and some aspects are still awaiting the implementation. Including in their recommendations is reform of the laws. And the reform of the laws, a consultancy is currently underway that is reviewing the entire legal framework of the medical system. Not only medicine and pharmaceutical laws, but they are reviewing the whole laws of the Ministry of Health. And this process is underway. The consultancy is very advanced, I'm aware, because I'm following, because the consultant also talks to me. So a greater aspect of the recommendations done by the task force with respect to the AKI is on the way. But this is government. And if you belong to civil society, you need to understand, if you are on the other side, there are things that you want to move in certain ways. In government, things don't move that way. Certain things have procedures, and they have to follow those due processes. Your second issue was with respect to what?
2 minutes.
Now, the two ministers, with respect to the parliamentary resolution, you need to understand first resolutions of parliament. They are recommendations on government. They are not binding in their nature. Best practice, this determines that we work with parliament and see how they are implemented. But with respect to the two ministers, parliament did not recommend to the president to remove them. They recommended censure. Censure is a parliamentary process that has to be initiated from within parliament itself and be implemented by parliament, not executive. And censure must be based on proven evidence. So parliament needed to initiate a petition from within the parliament that will be signed by members, and that petition will be served on the president, and the president will serve the two ministers concerned. 2 weeks after the date of the censure and the petition is served, there will be a debate in parliament, and the grounds of the censure will be debated, and those ministers concerned are entitled to reply. They are entitled to respond because these are still allegations. They will reply, and parliament will take a vote, and then when the vote is carried, then the censure succeeds. If the vote is not carried, the censure fails. Remember, we all yearn for rule of law in this country. We cannot just say that somebody is accused of something, therefore we act. We have to give people the benefit of the doubt. They are entitled to respond. They are entitled to their side of the story. That's what we all cry for. And this can happen to any one of us. We can be a victim of any allegation. Are we saying once somebody is accused, the person is not entitled to defend himself or respond or reply? So the censure that is recommended in the resolution, if Parliament wants, it's an independent organ of government. They can initiate the censure process against the said ministers. So, but the resolution, I think most of the press statement that was read here today is in response to some of the key contents of some of those resolutions, which you said you will respond to, isn't it? So this dialogue can continue and it can go on further. There's three issues I took. What was the third issue?
The third issue was just to tell you that the Public Order Act is constitutional but amendable.
Of course, any law is amendable. Nobody is disputing that. But you raise human rights. We need to get things right. If we have to dialogue, we have to dialogue honestly.
Right.
The ECOWAS Community Court of Justice tested our Public Order Act against the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which is the African standard of our Human Rights Charter. You know about that judgment?
Yes, I know.
You read it?
Yes, I read the judgment.
So,
however, you see, that is the thing with the court. I'm not a lawyer, but that's the thing with the court. The court may make a judgment based on certain principles and evidence. That doesn't deny the fact that human rights, protest or peaceful assembly is a fundamental human right. So any other law or bylaw must not be used to censor it. That's where the conversation should be. Park the laws aside, Honorable. Let's just see that it should be, let's amend the Public Order Act.
let's
work on that. Let's the dialogue start from there.
All right, that's fine. Government is willing to talk about this.
Exactly.
Everything that can be dialogue. Nothing is off the table. As long as we are talking, we can talk. How do we even amend it? What do we amend it? What do we agree to disagree? These things can form part of the dialogue. Nobody is saying it cannot be discussed. But if we have to discuss from a frank point of view. You cannot tell me something is illegal that I know is not illegal. And I agree just because I want to dialogue with you. All right. I can find out because nobody have ever briefed me the reason for the withdrawal, so I couldn't speak to that. AKI, like I said, a process was going on. But people have the right to go to court anytime they feel like. Probably they think government process is slow. And that we are not embarrassed to admit to that. Government processes, even in the developed world, sometimes can be painstaking. This is a hard fact. Governments don't operate like a private company. So many things have to go through so many processes. And sometimes it's true. Not only even AKI victims, even the victims of judgment. The transitional justice, some believe that is going very slow. But we are doing what we can do and our best under the circumstances. And I wish any one of you will be sitting on the chair that I'm sitting. You will face the same challenges. Right? So sometimes we wish things to happen. But we cannot get them to happen at the pace at which we want it. And because of processes, because government have a design system, have processes, have laws, have a lot of regulations that need to be followed, and some of these things, some don't happen the way overnight. So processes were underway, like I said. There were even negotiations that started. I can even go to an extent to tell you there was a budget line to start compensating the victims. But they declined the offer that was made by government, and they choose to claim higher amounts in court. Once they go to court, we are now bound to go with them to court and wait and see the outcome of the court. We couldn't do much. But we continue with our other bilateral engagement, trying to engage the government of India, trying to see how we get in touch with the company that is actually the company that manufactured these drugs until they found their way into the Gambia. So government is relentless. No government will lose kids, babies, and be complicit in the way you address that issue. Really. But like I tell you, this is the situation. We were doing what we can, but in the meantime, we were served with a suit from the court. What do we have? We have no choice but to go to court and start defending the suit that we were served with. But there was a budget already allocated for compensation. But what we offered, they didn't accept it. They didn't even accept a part payment. So what else can you do?
How much was it? It's important.
No, on top of my head, I cannot remember. That budget is with the Ministry of Health, not me. But Ministry of Health have informed me as the government lawyer that we have this much amount. Because I am the one that was talking to their lawyers. They've instructed me to negotiate. If I agree with them, Ministry of Health had a budget they are willing to pay. But in our negotiation with their lawyers, the gap was so high, so we couldn't agree. The next minute we were served.
If the gap was so high, how did you know the gap was so high when you don't know the figure?
Yeah, maybe.
Good afternoon. My name is Gala from the Standard newspaper. My question is, what is government?
Question.
No, I'm asking, is it a registered committee review?
Well, you should help me with that. So, my question.
The Attorney General is there?
If it's online, you can call it against online radio.
KMC online radio.
Yeah, we can.
So my question will go to the Minister of Justice, even though I will, pick from the Minister of Finance and the government granted bail from the courts and another 15 from this list. Whether the government is ready to drop all the charges, levied on these young people in order to have a dialogue in complementing the efforts of the government.
Why not? It's on the table. Nothing is off the table. Let's just continue dialogue. Yeah. Because these things are budgeted. I mean, National Assembly, you can talk to them. There are budget lines on the Ministry of Finance for settlement of judgments that are entered against the government. You can have judgments locally, you can have judgments sometimes even in international arbitration courts and things like that. So they are paid as they come, depending on how the budget can sustain them. So, but there is no deliberate, in fact, if you check with the ECOWAS Community Court, let me just say that Gambia is on the top of the countries in the whole of ECOWAS region for honoring judgments, monetary judgments awarded by the ECOWAS Community Court.
I think I follow the Minister of Finance, Bravo Lorinjan. I tell you, Gambia Masakunda, India Masakunda, Kataso, Purkade, if a case file and I mean, but a million borough not in India, a million borough in the sorry, manufacturing. So I like to know development in Bengali because case in 2022, at the Ekafan justice delay is justice delay. 3 years hands and case of Mamba for whole. And in fact, corruption issue, Nigel Fan, audit case, I made that becoming a baby accountability in one of Contiboro. Karunko Moni nearly dismissed late, ye demote or to prosecute, don't be forceful retirement. But in the reactive measures at Masakunda, Ekatama Bakim in one proactive measures. So mbalo na flakalo ko municipal le be pour ka de corruption wala ko although it a eradicated but can mitigate kende pour ala ko ci tala ka ni million jama be ka fil banko ka you cannot afford more sorondo man the president yi pare warando yena fin is so yes the sentence but as the prevent no kende
It was why were the forced protesters released unconditionally and these ones released on bail? Who is the author of the question?
Yes. For the same offense, that's the question.
I'm not too sure whether they're the same offense. The file hasn't reached me yet. It's still a law enforcement stage. I just will try to probably pass an answer. I'm not specific to the previous. Remember, this case at this stage is still at the interior level. It's law enforcement. It hasn't reached my office yet. But it's normal. That's this law enforcement discretion. You can release somebody on self-recognition. You can release somebody on other bail conditions. So it's perfectly okay. I don't know what informed the difference. I wouldn't know at this stage until the file reaches my office. But I can say it's not out of normal. It's not out of the ordinary. It's entirely the discretion of law enforcement.
I just want to rephrase a question to him. I've been raising hands since.
The police, I just wanted to know why is the police or the interior minister not here? I'm not asking a question because given the situation that the country is in,
I have a question.
Productive dialogue.
that's an important question.
Okay, thank you so much. And it has been a productive session, and the government will continue to engage. We believe in dialogue.